circus is a place designed to make people laugh and have a great time with their loved ones. However, there is a side of the circus that has been made to spread terror and fright. A circus that Masaru Saiga perfectly knows. The death of Masaru's father leads to a huge fortune being bestowed upon him, but that also bestows greedy eyes that wish to acquire his wealth. Narumi Kato, a kung fu expert who suffers from Zonapha syndrome, an illness that stops his breathing unless he makes people laugh, saves Masaru from 4 strange men out to kidnap him. Natumi fights off the men only to discover them to be puppets with superhuman strengths. Unable to fight all of them, Masaru screams for help, to which Shirogane comes to his aid, unleashing Harlequin, a puppet that skillfully destroys the other puppets. Shirogane explains her relationship with Narumi's family and how she has to protect him at all costs. The kidnapper, who had formally sent the puppets, gets word of their defeat and so decides to use his trump card, Pulcinella. The curtain raises to a whole new life for the trio, with the colossal wheels of destiny slowly beginning to turn for them, changing their fate forever. Pulcinella, an enormous puppet with a wooden bat, charges towards Shirogane and Harlequin with the intentions to wipe out their existence. However, the puppeteer miscalculated the true powers of Harlequin, which effortlessly speeds past all of its attacks and crushes its head in a blink of an eye. With her back turned away from Masaru, more men arrive to take away the boy, but feel when Narumi uses his outclass martial arts techniques to send them flying out of the window. Happy that Masaru is safe and then scratched, Shirogane Anatomy takes him to get washed up and have his wounds treated. Not only asks the reason why they were chasing him, to which details about his past, how after his mother's death 3 years ago, Masaru was taken in by his father into the Saigon family. But alas, after his father's death, now relatives are hungry for a vast fortune. Fear starts welling up in his eyes. Naomi promises to teach him kung fu to get stronger and protect himself. The peace doesn't last long, with Masaru being kidnapped once again at night by some more puppeteers who skillfully subdue Naomi and Shirogane before escaping. A distressed Naomi and Shirogane are met by Ero Ashihana, the puppeteer who had used Pulcinella. He lays down the reasons for the kidnapping and how a new group this time has kidnapped a boy. He then takes them to the Karakuri mansion. Masaru wakes up in a lavishly made bed and sees a man with a menacing smile standing next to him. The man introduces himself as Zenji Saiga, his father's younger brother, and that he has been entrusted to keep Masaru safe and make him his son. On the other side, Shirogane and Narumi charge head-on like a raging bull into the Karakuri mansion, with Ashihana's men close behind. Hand-to-hand combat is Narumi's area of expertise while he fights off the men protecting the mansion. Ashihana's men produce a variant of puppets to break open the door, only to have them destroyed by the girl wielding a puppet called Theo Gautier. However, it turns out to be a piece of cake for Shirogane, who slashes the door open with Harlequin. Moving into the mansion, the two fall prey to a trap, making them plunge into a deep hole, significantly injuring Narumi. Masaru makes a run from his cynical uncle, who beats him with a stick, the smile never once leaving his face. Masaru jumps out the window into the forest, landing on one of the guards' heads and facing Ashihana, a determined look in his eyes. Masaru orders Ashihana to change sides and work for him. Ashihana, a man of loyalty, doesn't agree at once to join Masaru, but the moment Masaru tells him the money he will offer, he quickly changes sides. Shirogane and Narumi tried to find a way out of the hole they were trapped in, but then faced a puppeteer who entwines their necks with sharp strings, close to slicing their heads off. Masaru, with Ashihana, breaks into the mansion, where Masaru begs Zenji to let go of his friends, to which he only agrees if Masaru becomes his son. Reluctantly, Masaru obliges to his demands, but that two-faced bastard doesn't stick to his word and instead imprisons Shirogane and Narumi Nakaj, sending them to the top of the pagoda and dropping them from there. With a fire burning inside of him, Masaru kicks his uncle in the balls and rushes with Ashihana to the pagoda. Happy to see Masaru save the two, they rejoice. But their happiness is short-lived, with many puppeteers coming to kill them. Shirogane, injured and unable to control Harlequin, looks helplessly to Natumi. But instead, Masori swoops in and takes control of Harlequin, quickly defeating the other puppeteers. The mansion blows up, resulting in Masaru falling into the fire with Naomi close behind to save him. Sadly, Narumi dies in the fire, with his arm protecting young Masaru throughout. the death of Narumi leaves an enormous impact on both Masaru and Shirogane, who feel like they lost a huge piece of themselves too. After recovering from the traumatic incident, Masaru moves into his house. Shirogane quits the straw circus and becomes a maid at his house, always taking care of him. Masaru starts school again, with Shirogane attending high school close by his own. Seeing Masaru back after so long makes everyone come up and ask how he is. However, his bullies look for new ways to make his life miserable, sticking pins under his seat and throwing wet towels on him. They spare no time to bully him, especially the leader Kajiyama. Their acts are quickly put off when Masaru showcases his burns and scars, which frightens everyone and even opens up about his traumatic experience. Masaru thinks of ways to make Shirogane smile again, to which he plans to make her join a circus. They visit Shinobu Nakamachi, the boss of a new upcoming circus, and ask him to let Shirogane join his circus, which he happily agrees after seeing his abilities. Elsewhere, in a dark room, the body of Narumi lies still, the beeping of a machine nearby. Narumi wakes up from a deep slumber and gets introduced to Guy Christopher, the man who brought him to a hospital in Illinois, USA, and saved his life. With no memories of who he is and how he lost his arm, Narumi looks to the guy for answers. From the corner of his eye, Naomi spots a young boy whom he follows to a room filled with many more children who, like him, also possess the zone of a disease. Slowly, the guy unravels the truth behind the hospital, which, in actuality, is the Enough Treatment Facility, and how Naomi will help them find the automata that is spreading the disease with the help of the Midnight Circus. Guy further explains the only cure for Zonapha was aquavite medicine, but it was all used to bring Naomi back to life, and now he must assist them for the sake of the future. Pullman and Enceladus make their way to raid the hospital and kill all the children with the help of the automata. Understanding the importance of the situation, Narumi prepares himself to fight them, a master in karate, and now Shirogane, a fighting machine that can heal itself. Narumi breaks all the automata puppets, leaving only Pullman and Selmas. They both turn out to be puppets with unique fighting abilities. Trying their best to tear Narumi up, they fail to notice that he is now not an ordinary human. Narumi flies like a butterfly but stings like a bee, shredding the two puppets into tiny pieces, saving the children from their horrible clutches. Narumi joins forces with a guy believing in his capabilities to create a cure for the children. He proceeds to journey forward and find the Midnight Circus, putting an end to their treacherous plan. Shirogane and Masaru both join the Nakamachi Circus and start to make a living on their path toward creating a great circus. Masaru gets targeted by an assassin named Vilma, who is paid by Masaru's uncle to kill him. Shirogane comes to his rescue, almost killing herself in the process, but they manage to knock out Vilma. Masaru's big heart persuades Shirogane from not killing Vilma, since she had also lost her brother in the past through the Zonapha disease, and instead lets her join the circus as a knife thrower. The Nakamachi Circus makes preparations for their first show in Shanghai. During the same time, Narumi and the guy are on a plane flying towards Shanghai. Shirogane takes time to understand everyone in the circus, especially Vilma, who has warmed up to Shirogane and starts asking her if she ever fell in love, which makes her remember Narumi. Elsewhere, the guy and Narumi get attacked by a bunch of automatas who have come to avenge the automatas that they had killed in the hospital. Narumi fights them off one by one, each with a special ability up their sleeve, while the guy is occupied. Another automata proceeds to invade the cockpit and take over control to crash the plane and kill everyone, but is stopped by Lucille, one of the helpers of the guy. They manage to kill all the automatas on the plane, but are faced with more peril as thousands of flying puppets make their way to destroy the engines. The guy takes charge to kill all of them, consequently disappearing into the horizon with them. They manage to emergency land the plane, almost crashing into the circus. The passengers rush out in fright, and Shirogane and Masaru also help until they see the silhouette of the one man they both thought had left the world, the one and only Naomi. Shirogane and Masaru, with a shine on their faces, believed that they saw Naomi, but sadly he disappeared without meeting them, making them imagine he is in actuality dead. The two rescue and help the victims of the plane crash, where Shirogane also luckily finds their childhood teacher, the guy badly injured and unconscious. She helps the guy recover back to full health. Masaru starts to assume that Shirogane doesn't love him anymore, to which she dispels his assumptions with a heartfelt embrace, reassuring him that she will always be there for him. Naomi travels deep into the mountains of China with Mingxia, daughter of his master, who has also contracted the disease and is in search of the elixir of life. They find the master, who tells about where the disease had originated 200 years in the past. Two brothers, Yin and Zhen, wanted to give life to puppets. They had traveled to the city of alchemy, praying to learn there. During their research, both of the brothers fell in love with a young girl named Francine, whose sole purpose in life was to help the poor and old. Warmed by her acts of modesty for humanity, Yin professed his love and married her. The happy news was met with an ill heart by Jin, who began to contemplate the worst ending for his own brother. What was supposed to be the start of a happy marriage turned into the most horrible one instead. Jin kidnapped and eloped with Francine, leaving his heartbroken brother to look for his wife for 8 years. Yin finally tracked the whereabouts of his brother, incurable, where he had spent his time trying to find the cure that could cure Francine from a horrible disease. Ian found Francine locked away in a dungeon. Upon meeting her, his eyes filled up with tears, and they both held each other together. Yin proceeded to create a cure for Francine, which was a soft stone, but at last he was too late. Francine died when the dungeon caught fire. Yin left the town and traveled far away, while Jin lost his sanity and created puppets that breathed life using the aquavitae. Their conversation is cut short when one of the oldest automata enters to drink the water of life and tells about the purpose of automata. After the death of Francine, Jin had made a puppet to look like her and some more automata to worship and make her laugh. However, it got out of hand since their acts to make her laugh turned to violence to kill people. Naomi's master kills the senior automata, saying he has lived a full and happy life. The honorable Shiroganeos gather together and make preparations to attack the headquarters of the automata, known as the Midnight Circus, located deep in the Sahara Desert. Found with the help of an animal of Shirogane, they now have full plans to finish off the automata once and for all. Ashihana, who has now left his past life being a puppeteer, is occupied with different women in France. He is paid a small visit by one of the members of Shiroganeos and told they have something he could possibly not deny wanting. Narumi, along with Minsha, travel to the Sahara Desert, and they're accompanied by an army of Shiroganeos who stand impatiently to get their hands on the automata. The Midnight Circus draws its curtains to let in the delegation to fight their chosen people, and the games begin. Not Enemy, along with the captain's team, enters the tent and is faced with fighters of the automata. The fight proves challenging, where each side loses members. But alas, the Shiroganeos win and are thrown into the next round. In the next round, they are to choose between 2 doors, one of which will lead them directly to their leader, Francine. The 8 members break into a group of 4 to enter the 2 different doors, completing the challenges that come their way. Naomi enters with the leader of Shiroganeos named Faceless, who pretty much shows no emotions. Whenever a team member dies, once they enter, the automata challenges them to fight each other with only 2 remaining members, to proceed further to meet Francine. Knowing it is a trap, they disobey the rules and fight the automatic clowns that come their way. Faceless succeeds in stopping the most dangerous clown, but loses his life in the process. Naomi loses a lot of blood, but still manages to regroup with the others and enter the final round. They now face the 4 oldest automata, the Squatter Pioneers, and have to win if they wish to fight the queen of all automatas. And that's the end of part 1. Like, share, and subscribe if you want to see part 2 ASAP. Hit the bell icon so you'll know when it's up. See you soon.